Hello everyone, Max here from Evidence-Based Football Manager. This is part 4 of my Youth Intake Analysis series for FM23. Today I'll be talking about what people often refer to as the draft hypothesis. There's a popular belief going around that youth intake in Football Manager is kind of like a draft, where there's a limited pool of wonder kids generated in a league every season, and the clubs in that league compete against each other to try to bring the best wonder kids into their clubs. I've conducted some experiments to investigate whether there's any merit to such theory, and I'll be sharing the results with you today. I have attached a quick summary at the end of this video, so do feel free to skip straight to the summary if you'd like to do so. And also, all the graphs and the visual representations shown in this video will be uploaded on my public Dropbox folder, so visit my Dropbox if you wanted to take a closer look at those graphs. Alright, let's begin. I'm going to start by addressing something I talked about in the part 2 video, which isn't directly related to the draft hypothesis, but it does provide some information that lays the groundwork for today's discussion. In the part 2 video, one of the findings was that youth recruitment and youth facilities had questionable impacts on your new gens when those variables were changed at time point T3, which is just before the youth announcement event. I will have to make a revision on those conclusions because I've done some additional experimentation regarding youth recruitment and youth facilities, and fresh evidence has emerged that overrides the previous conclusion. The revised conclusion is this: youth recruitment and youth facilities can influence your new gens when those variables are changed just before youth announcement. This is how I reached those revised conclusions. The tests that I conducted in the part 2 video regarding youth recruitment and youth facilities were redone using the Youth Intake League instead of the Eredivisie. Remember, in the part 2 video, I used AZ Alkmaar of the Eredivisie to run my youth intake tests, but in part 3 I switched to a custom league that I made myself called the Youth Intake League because using a custom league leads to more reliable test results. I tried changing the level of youth recruitment and youth facilities of Team E of the Youth Intake League at time point T3, and I analysed the CA ratings and the PA ratings of Team E new gens. It's basically the same test that I conducted in the part 2 video. It's just using the Youth Intake League instead of the Eredivisie, just so I could acquire a more reliable test results. And the following was observed from this new series of tests. When the level of youth recruitment was changed just before youth announcement, the PA ratings of new gens were affected, but not their CA ratings. When the level of youth facilities was changed just before youth announcement, both the PA and CA ratings of new gens were affected. These are findings that conflict with the previous findings from the part 2 video. But like I said, the Youth Intake League is a more reliable test environment compared to the Eredivisie, so I have decided to override the previous conclusion and go with the new findings acquired using the Youth Intake League. And if I'm revising what I said in the part 2 video, that means I also have to revise what I said in the part 3 video as well. In part 3, I told you that the cutoff date for most variables in the game was time point T3, with youth recruitment and youth facilities being the two exceptions to that norm. That will have to change. This is the revised conclusion. The cutoff date for all variables is T3 with no exceptions. For example, variables like junior coaching and youth facilities will affect both the CA and PA ratings of new gens, as long as those variables are changed just before youth announcement. And also, the level of youth recruitment will affect the PA ratings of new gens, as long as youth recruitment is changed just before youth announcement. Sorry about the confusion, guys, but I do have to make reports on new evidences as they emerge. And also, you will see pretty soon that youth recruitment plays an important role in the youth intake mechanics in Football Manager. So it is important to clarify exactly how youth recruitment behaves in the game. Alright, now that we've got that out of the way, we can really start talking about the draft hypothesis in Football Manager. I'll be sharing with you a series of observations that I've made that give us various hints about how the youth intake mechanic works in the game. The first observation I made is this. Youth preview is when the names, the playing positions, and the basic personal details of your new gens become locked in. Let me demonstrate by comparing two different save files I made using the Youth Intake League. Okay, so save file number 1. This is the screen for Team E of the Youth Intake League. You can see now it's the 6th of December and the Youth Preview event has not triggered yet for Team E. Now, if I progress the game from this time point until the Youth Announcement event, which triggers in March the year after, I will get a different pool of new gens every time I repeat the same simulation. I've taken some screenshots of Team E new gens that result from these simulations, and you can see that they're all different sets of players with different names and different personal details. Now, let's take a look at save file number 2. Now it's the 8th of December, which is after the Youth Preview event has triggered for Team E. If I progress the game from this time point until the Youth Announcement, I will get the same pool of new gens with same names and same basic personal details every time I repeat the simulation. Again, I've taken some screenshots of Team E new gens that result from this second save file, and you can see here that they're all the exact same group of new gens. This comparison between the two save files confirms that Youth Preview is when the game decides which new gens will be recruited by the different clubs in the league. It's a finding that seems to support the draft hypothesis. A draft in professional sport is basically when young players choose their new clubs, which is exactly what happens at the Youth Preview event in Football Manager. So is that it? Shall we just all accept the draft hypothesis now and call it a day? Not so fast, my friends, because things are not as simple as it seems. The second observation I made is that the CA ratings, PA ratings, the attributes, and the hidden attributes of new gens can show a wide variation even after their destination has been decided at Youth Preview. Let me try focusing just on one new gen from the Youth Intake League to demonstrate. So this guy here, he's called Nenad Pavlovic, and he's a new gen from Team E of the Youth Intake League. If I keep repeating the same Youth Announcement event over and over again for Team E, Nenad Pavlovic will spawn with a different CA and PA ratings every single time. Here I've recorded the details of Nenad Pavlovic as I repeated the exact same Youth Announcement event 50 times, and you can see that the spectrum of possible CA ratings, PA ratings, and the attributes of Pavlovic is pretty wide. The PA, if you have a look at the PA rating, for example, it can be as high as 160s or 170s, and it can be as low as 90s or even in the 80s. This is an observation that offers a challenge to the draft hypothesis. If we imagine the Youth Preview event as a draft where the clubs are looking for the top wonder kids, then it's tempting to make the assumption that at least the PA ratings of new gens become fixed at Youth Preview. But as we can see from the example of Nenad Pavlovic, both the CA and PA ratings of new gens are far from being fixed until they are actually revealed to you at the Youth Announcement event. The names and the basic details of new gens are determined at Youth Preview, but when it comes to the CA ratings, PA ratings, and the attributes of new gens, nothing is certain until the Youth Announcement. This is not to say that the range of possible CA or PA ratings of new gens is completely random. The range between minimum possible CA or PA and the maximum possible CA or PA is quite wide, yes. But as you change one of the variables like a youth recruitment or junior coaching, the range of possible CA or PA does move up and down the scale as a whole. For example, I've constructed a box and whisker graph for the PA ratings of Nenad Pavlovic as I change the level of youth recruitment for Team E. Remember, youth recruitment is a variable that can affect the PA ratings of new gens. And as you can see from this graph, when youth recruitment of Team E was set as 20 out of 20, there is an overall upward shift in the possible PA ratings of Nenad Pavlovic compared to the other two scenarios when Team E youth recruitment was set as 1 out of 20 or 10 out of 20. Yes, there is still a lot of randomness involved, so even when youth recruitment is set as 20 out of 20, Pavlovich might still spawn with a crappy PA rating every once in a while, but on the whole, his PA rating will be higher in this scenario here, when youth recruitment is 20 out of 20, compared to the other two scenarios. The third observation I've made is this. Youth recruitment affects new gens in a way that's different from other variables in the game, like junior coaching or youth facilities. At the start of the video, I mentioned that the level of youth recruitment of your club can boost the PA ratings of your new gens as long as youth recruitment is improved just before youth announcement. And it turns out that the relationship between youth recruitment and your new gen PA ratings is not a simple correlation. What matters is the ranking of your club's youth recruitment within the league. For clubs that belong in the same league, the PA ratings of new gens are decided by the order of youth recruitment ratings of the clubs in that league. And in cases where multiple clubs have the same level of youth recruitment, club reputation acts as a tiebreaker. Let me demonstrate by showing you a test that I've done. Using the Youth Intake League, I ran simulations that started from T1, which is just before the youth preview, and ended at the youth announcement event. I set up 3 different scenarios where I varied the level of youth recruitment of Team C of the Youth Intake League. I'll display the level of youth recruitment and club reputation of the 8 teams of the Youth Intake League on the screen right now, and I want you guys to pause the video for a bit and have a guess. Do you think there would be a difference in the average PA ratings of Team C new gens between these 3 scenarios? If the relationship between youth recruitment and new gen PA ratings is a simple correlation, then you would expect the PA ratings of Team C new gens to be the highest in scenario 1, followed by scenario 2, followed by scenario 3. But it turns out that that is not the case. If you compare these 3 bar graphs, you will see that the PA ratings of Team C new gens are more or less similar in all 3 of these scenarios. I'm going to show you a 4th scenario which will prove my point even further. This time, youth recruitment of Team C was set as 20 out of 20, which makes it the highest youth recruitment in the league. And if you take a look at this 4th bar graph here, you can see that the PA ratings of Team C new gens is a lot higher compared to the first 3 scenarios, which further confirms that it's the ranking of youth recruitment that matters and not just its absolute value. I also want you to take a look at the PA ratings of other teams in the league. In the first 3 graphs, new gens from Team A had the highest PA ratings, which is natural because Team A had the highest youth recruitment and club reputation out of the 8 teams. But in the 4th scenario, there's a sudden drop in the PA ratings of Team A new gens. As I increased the youth recruitment rating of Team C, the PA ratings of Team C new gens went up, and at the same time, it caused the PA ratings of Team A new gens to drop by quite a bit. This suggests the notion that there is a limited pool of elite new gens that are generated every season, and that it's a zero-sum game between the clubs in the league who compete against each other to try to recruit the best wonder kids from a limited pool of players. The 4th observation that I've made, which is kind of related to the 3rd observation, is that the dates of youth announcement are also determined by youth recruitment and club reputation. The same rule that is used to determine the PA ratings of new gens is also used to determine the order of youth announcement dates for clubs that belong in the same league. Let's take a look at the Youth Intake League again as an example. If you take a look at the youth announcement dates for these 8 clubs, you can see that the order of these dates correlates with the order of youth recruitment ratings of these 8 clubs. And in cases where 2 clubs have the same youth recruitment, club reputation is acting as a tiebreaker. This means that while you're playing Football Manager, you can get a rough idea on your club's youth recruitment and club reputation relative to other clubs in your league by inspecting the dates of youth announcement. Let's say during the game, you've noticed that your club's youth announcement triggered last out of all the clubs in your league. That probably means that your youth recruitment rating is falling behind all your competitors. So maybe it's time to pay your board a visit and ask them to upgrade your club's youth recruitment. And let's say you've upgraded youth recruitment as much as you can, but your youth announcement still triggered second or third in the league. That's probably a sign that your club reputation is lagging behind your competitors. Remember, if there are multiple clubs in the same league with the same level of youth recruitment, then club reputation acts as a tiebreaker. So if there are 3 clubs in your league with 20 out of 20 youth recruitment, but your club reputation is third in the league, then your youth announcement will trigger third in the league. And also, the average PA ratings of your new gens will be around third in your league as well. The only way to remedy this and to ensure that your club gets the top new gens is to build up your club reputation until the reputation of your own club surpasses the reputation of your competitors. Alright, I will now try weaving all these observations together and come up with a summary. All in all, I am happy to accept the draft hypothesis. The youth intake mechanics in Football Manager does resemble a professional sport draft in many ways, although the process is pretty peculiar. So first of all, the youth preview event is when the names and the basic personal details of your new gens become locked in. Once the youth preview event happens, the new gens can't change their clubs anymore. But the exact qualities of those new gens are not determined until much later. The CA ratings, the PA ratings, the attributes and the hidden attributes of new gens remain highly fluid until the youth announcement event. There are lots of variables in the game that can affect the CA or PA ratings of your new gens, and you can improve those variables as late as 1 day before the youth announcement event, and they will still boost the CA or PA ratings of your new gens. Now, out of all the variables in the game that can affect your new gens, youth recruitment behaves in a pretty unique way. A high level of youth recruitment can boost the PA ratings of your new gens, but it's not the absolute value of youth recruitment that counts. What matters is how your youth recruitment ranks against the youth recruitment of your competitors. If your youth recruitment is 19 out of 20, but everyone else's youth recruitment is 20 out of 20, your new gens will have the worst average PA ratings in the league. On the other hand, if your youth recruitment is 2 out of 20, but everyone else's youth recruitment is 1 out of 20, you will be getting the top new gens in your league. And the size of the pie is limited every season, so it's a closed competition between the clubs that belong in the same league. If you get all the top new gens with the highest PA ratings in the league, other clubs won't. And if your competitors get all the top new gens, then you won't. The pie has a limited size, and the way it's divided up between the clubs is determined by youth recruitment as the primary criteria and club reputation as the secondary criteria. This rule is also used to determine the dates of youth announcement for clubs that belong in the same league. Youth announcement will trigger first for the club with the highest level of youth recruitment in the league, and trigger last for the club with the lowest youth recruitment. And when 2 or more clubs have the same level of youth recruitment, club reputation will act as a tiebreaker. That's it, folks. That's basically how the youth intake mechanic works in Football Manager. Just keep doing what you've been doing. As soon as you get enough favor points with the board, ask them to upgrade your club facilities as soon as possible. Keep asking for upgrades until there's nothing left to upgrade. And sometimes you won't notice the improvements in your youth intake straight away because there are some factors in the game like club reputation that can take a few seasons to build up. But keep up the effort for a few seasons and you will slowly see an improvement in the quality of your new gens. I'll probably do one more video on the topic of youth intake just to cover some areas that I haven't touched on yet. So yeah, stay tuned and I'll see you guys all next time. Right, cheers guys.